What's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. This is Marvin J., the founder of the Scholars of Success podcast. I hope you guys are doing well, getting this set up, updated. So, the Scholars of Success podcast, again, it's to encourage, it's to inspire people to define their own success and be their best selves, to continuously improve and to develop that 1% every day to learn from the janitor to the CEO. And again, entering a portion now where I'm stepping outside of just, the insight and experiences I've learned and being able to say, hey, let's actually have podcast interviews with different people from various industries. I just coined this idea and it's called the 5 C's: cars, culture, community, change makers, and cultivators. Are there people pouring back into their community? Are there people who are building businesses, building brands? Are they, impacting education? Are they actually pouring back into the communities they serve? If they're big into the car scene, like, listen, as you can see, shout out to RWB Seattle, Griot's Garage, and Park Place, and my good friends Brand Namsan. They just had an event over in Park Place for RWB. Super cool. I have a few other shirts, but that's just one of them. The artwork is dope. And again, bringing this episode together with my good friend Sharp Skills, a a local rapper in Washington, grew up in California. In this episode, he's sharing his story, sharing his heart. I didn't really do a proper intro. We just like dove right into it. But I want to give a little context here. So, not to share too much of the story, but again, local entrepreneur, grew up in Cali area. He's an author of multiple books. He's a local rapper with 6 to 7 different albums to count, and then also invented his own board game called Reveal the Elephant. We're going to dive into that on the episode. Just an incredible man, a father, a man who is invested in social justice and just making moves and making changes and continually elevating the game. We're going to share some of the stuff he's done, some of the stuff he's doing, and the newest things that are coming out. So, without further ado, here comes the podcast episode with myself, Marvin J., and Sharp Skills. Let's go.
Okay, cool. So, hey everyone, what's up? Welcome to the Scholars of Success podcast. This is Marvin, and I get the honor of introducing one of my good friends, local from Tacoma. But shout out to my boy Sharp Skills.
Shout out, man.
Hey, what's up?
Yes,
Cool.
sir.
This is going to be a wonderful opportunity, bro. Again, thank you so much for opening up your home. And again, just it's dope.
Thank
The
you, bro.
location where you're living at, but
Appreciate you.
you're a rapper.
Mm-hmm.
You invented your own board game. You got a few different books, and you got a new one coming out.
Yep.
And you've done so many dope things. And so the first question I wanted to ask you, just to take it back, when did you start seeing that you could do these things? Growing up, what was that like for you?
So I'll start with I saw like my mom doing a lot of stuff when I was coming up. I was primarily raised by my mom. I had a relationship with my father too, but they split up when I was one. So I was primarily around my mom. So I saw my mom doing a lot of things. She had a job in marketing at the LA Times, or advertising, I should say, at the LA Times. But also she was in fashion shows, doing music, performing. So I saw my mom doing a lot of different things. And then my grandfather, even though I was younger and probably didn't like know what it was, everything that he was doing, I saw my grandfather as an entrepreneur. Like, he only had a third grade education, but he had a limousine company. He was a pastor of a church. He had a construction company, a limousine company. He sold like old cars. Like, he was just a hustler. And then my grandmother was a piano teacher. So I saw a lot of my family doing a lot of different things. And so I think that was part of what made it normal to me. If you have an idea, you can probably figure out a way to create a business out of it. And so I started off early on. Like, there was a store called Smart and Final in LA
Okay.
where I grew up. I'm originally from LA. And I would go and I would buy boxes of candy because it was one of those surplus places, And so I would go and buy the candy in bulk, corn nuts in bulk, and I'd go to school and I would sell that, for a profit. And so that taught me entrepreneurship in many ways. I had lemonade stands. I would sell, like, end of the year when we would have like water fights at school every year. I would go to the dollar store. It was the 99-cent store in Cali. And I would sell water guns. I'd go to school with a backpack full of water guns and like water balloons. And I figured out a way to make money. And then I did some acting when I was younger too. I have actually had a few like, films that I'm in as a child actor. And then I got bit by the hip hop bug. And because my mom was recording music back then, she has 2 albums out. She had me on those albums when I was a kid, like around 10, 11 years old. And so just being in the studio, being on set as an actor at a young age, it just kind of was normal to me to like, you have an idea, yeah, go do it, you know?
Right. Like just hearing you, dude, it's so awesome to see that the entrepreneurial spirit is real. Like some people think it's so far away. It's like, it's just one idea, but you got to really marinate and germinate that idea. I want to take some time to highlight a few pieces, but we played this board game that it was was it the
15% Board Game Cafe.
and share with me why, that's important. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously being able to have conversations about racism is huge, but
Yeah.
even like the seed thought of where Reveal the
Mhm.
Elephant started.
Yeah. So the idea for a game actually started before I was in racial equity work. My first job out of college was I was an energy services representative where I would go into like different businesses, and pretty much there was a program, again, this is in LA, through the Department of Water and Power in Southern California, Edison, where they could get their lights changed for free. These
Okay.
small businesses can get their lights changed to more energy efficient ones. And so I just began to like whatever I'm involved with, like I tend to like go deep into it because I want to be excellent at it. So I was learning all about the different types of lights that exist, and it would blow your mind that all the various types of light that there is, and like temperatures of light, not meaning the heat of the light, but actual color of the light, and the different versions like the street lights, and it's just all kind of different versions of lights, and also around energy management. So it was very fascinating to me because you have a lot of math in it. You also have a lot of just how light impacts people and how energy impacts people and things of that nature. So I just started thinking like it would be dope as I'm learning this to make it more funner. It's like create a game out of it. You know what I'm saying? So I actually went to like my local craft store and I bought like a big sheet of like cardboard paper, construction paper,
Yeah.
to make like a prototype of what the board game would be, And so I think I took it to work, and like, it didn't really land well, but people were still impressed. Like, wow, you came up with that and you put a lot of effort into that. And so back then I didn't have the funds necessarily to like execute on that, but it was a seed that was planted. So fast forward, when I got into racial equity work, like back in 2017, and doing a lot of the work that I was doing, I was meeting with high level CEOs and executives of like Fortune 50 companies, Fortune 500 companies, and just getting to see like these very sophisticated, brilliant people who were struggling with having conversations about race. So the idea about the board game came back to me, and it's like, well, people are still having a hard time with this. Why not combine it with something that might make it a little easier for them to do it? And what better than a board game? So that's where that concept came from.
Man, again, being able to hear the story and being able to get to know you, that's why we want to put this podcast on because, like we're chatting about before, it's hard to convey all this in one conversation.
All right.
And to be able to, have this kind of connection, it's awesome. Again, I'll say it again, but you're one of the few people that really inspire me right now. So close to me, just multifaceted, always hustling, always working. Obviously, you don't rest.
Right.
But like, there's always ideas, always things you're working on. And so let's take it back a moment. So let's talk more about the rapping. When did you know that you could rap? And how it like evolved into where you are now as local rapper going on tours, things like that. When did you know like, man, I could actually do pretty well at rapping?
So I got introduced really to hip hop through my sister, my older sister, Lanisha. Shout out to her. But she was the one who had like all the tapes and the CDs, right? And so I used to find her tapes and CDs back then.
Okay.
So one of the CDs that I found, actually it's not one of the ones that I found, but her collection of CDs inspired me to start working on my own. So I snuck and I bought, because back then my mom would be listening to music with cussing in it. So what I did was I had my stepfather at the time take me to I think it might have been like Sam Goody or something back then, and buy me like 2 different CDs. So one was Heavy D and the Boys, and Heavy D didn't cuss. So I was like, okay, I'm cool with this one. I'm gonna get, but then I snuck Warren G's Regulate in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and this was like, I'm like in the second grade or something like that. Me and my homeboy Ryan back then, That was my white homeboy with the red hair. I still Ryan was cool as shit. I'm sorry, man.
No, you guys
Okay.
are you guys
All
are
right.
fine.
But Ryan was cool. Like he was hella cool. But we would meet up and we would memorize the lyrics from this album, and we'd be out on the playground reciting the lyrics. You know what I'm saying? And then I started just like learning more and more. Like West Side Connection came out with a CD, and then we would be out. This time I'm back in Inglewood because I had moved away from Inglewood, then I moved back. And so me and the homies at school, we would just be out on the yard and we'd be rapping the lyrics, and you were cool if you could remember the lyrics.
Hell yeah.
And then I tried my hand at actually beginning to write my own lyrics, you know what I mean? And so it was just like a natural progression. My sister had a boyfriend, shout out to my guy Vanderbilt, who he actually gave me the game on how to write structure in my lyrics. Cause I used to just write like full pages of lyrics.
Gotcha.
And it was kind of like no rhyme or reason, no pun intended. But it was just like, I would just be writing. But he showed me what it actually was to have like 16 bars, like
Right.
write a bar at a time. And so, after when I just started kind of getting the concept together, but like for real, bro, like I think it kind of spurred my desire as a rapper, like just to solidify it and go hard at it was there was a talent show at this church that I went to at First AME Los Angeles, and it was the big church at the time. And we used to have these things called lock-ins where you know about lock-in?
I do. I know.
Yeah, so for those that don't know what a lock-in is, it pretty much would be like a gang of kids all together spending the night at the church from like 7 to 7. And like it wasn't like what you think. It wasn't like, we would have like the church service, but we had a dance afterwards. Like dudes would be cracking at girls. Like it was a whole nine. Like, and it's in LA, so you getting some of everything, right? You getting the thugs in there. You getting but it was so fun. It was so fun. At the I'm like 10 years old, 10 or 11, and there was like this group of older guys. They're like 14, 15, 16, and they were just kind of like known as the rappers at the church. So at the talent show part of the lock-in, they go on stage and it's like a cipher, like, we're going to go up and freestyle. So I'm like, ooh, this is my shot. Yep. So I go up and they all spitting and rocking the crowd, girls is like, ooh, go ahead. And I'm like, all right, and I remember the outfit I had on too. I had on this Fila jersey and shorts set, like a basketball jersey and shorts set. And I had on like the Grant Hills when they came out, the patent leather joints. So I'm in there, I'm feeling fly, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And got a fresh haircut. And I get on the mic and I'm like kind of stumbling, struggle rap,
Yeah.
And then the crowd started booing me, bro.
Oh,
the crowd booed me. And then one of the older guys that was on stage, he snatched the mic from me. So, bro, that crushed me, dog. Like, I'm like, fam, okay. And so I think, coupled that with my love for hip hop music, it was also determination to prove the motherfuckers wrong. Like, okay, y'all wanna, front of me here, I'm gonna show y'all. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know where them guys is at to this day, you know what I'm saying? But to have 7 albums under my belt, and just, a whole bunch of different accolades in terms of hip hop music, I think I proved my point, you know what I'm saying, if they were to come around. So yeah.
Well, shout out to you again, because that's tenacity, bro, and never giving up, because if you know you can do it and you put in the right habits, you can do anything you want, dude. So let me take another step back, because, we see Rebel Firm on here. We see Rebel Firm on the pillow and on the shirt. Tell me more about that and where that came from.
So I was a student at Highline Community College. It's Highline College now, but this was like back in like 2003. And this is during a time where I'm kind of having like my own spiritual awakening. I've always been, I grew up in the church, but this was like where just a lot of stuff was happening, because in 2000, in 99, 2000, my dates are a little bit off. But when I was a senior in high school, my father and my stepfather passed away within 6 weeks of each other. So I came home and I found my stepfather. He had a brain hemorrhage, and I found him on the floor when I got home from school. So then right after that, 6 weeks later, my dad, who had already been having some health complications, I got the call that your dad is in the hospital. We don't know how long he's going to be there. So I flew to LA to go see my dad. And then I was staying at his house that night while he was in the hospital. We got the call like 3 in the morning that he had passed. So I was having like it was just a real time in my life, you know, where it was my faith that was really, I was being pushed deeper into my faith to trust and know God personally. And so I think I was just at a place where I was just open. So I barely graduated high school because I missed so much school that year due to the tragedy in my, you know, the deaths in my family. And I busted my ass to pass 12th grade. And shout out to my teacher, Miss Mary Lopez, who really helped me get through that difficult situation. But I graduated. I went immediately to college, to community college. I never even had plans before that to go to college. And when I think back, it was like I don't even know what I was planning on doing. But when that hit, it was just like it's time to man up. You got to do something. So I went to college, and I'm at Highline, and I'm chilling in class, and I think I might have. I don't think I was asleep, but I'm just in there. It just something came to me. It came to me, and it was like rebel. And I can't do nothing but just say, man, that was a God moment for me because I wasn't even thinking about nothing like kind of related to that. And so then when I just started thinking more and more and more and more about it, it kind of formulated around an acronym, REBEL, which stands for Redeemed Entirely by Elohim's Love. Wow. And so the redeemed part, for those that, you know, some folks that are in follow Christianity know that like when you talk about like redeemed, it talks about Christ and how he purchased us when he died on the cross. So there's that part of it. And then there's the Elohim, which is a Hebrew word for God. So the rebel was more so like around the spiritual awakening that I was having, just around what Christ had done in my life, right, in terms of like having near death experiences, the times that I dabbled in the streets, could have been killed, could have, you know, went to jail for some of the stuff I was doing, to just, you know, kind of growing up in that LA lifestyle where you're experimenting and, you know, kind of not having like the solid father figure all the time. And you're trying to figure out your place in this world as a man, as a young man, and all of the things that I could have gotten caught up into that I did not, thankfully reap the consequences of. And so there was that aspect of it, just in terms of Christ really shielding me from a lot of those things that I didn't even know that I needed to be shielded from. Yeah. But there was also this side of rebel that was going against the grain. This is the tagline: going against the grain of what a corrupted system tells us to be by daring to reach our full God-given potential. So when you think of a young Black man growing up, a lot of the stereotypes are you're a thug, you gangbang, you sell dope, you're going to go to prison, you're going to have 5 baby moms, you're going to be a casualty, a statistic, all of these things that are kind of just placed on you to follow that script for some reason. Like that's right, the script you got to follow. And so Rebel was really like, I'm going against the grain of that by realizing my full potential. So that's where you see the board games, you see the music, you see the books, you know, you see my dedication as a father, you know, all of these different things that I'm doing. It's really rooted in just going against that grain and those stereotypes and showing others like you can do the same. And it's not a white or Black thing. It's not a race thing. It's just like whatever limitations have been placed on you by this world system, man, you can buck against that, you know? Right. So that's really the concept behind Rebel, is really to be a rebel with the cause and with the foundation. And for me, that happens to be my faith in God. You know, but it translates to people in many different walks of life and just different backgrounds, kind of no matter who you are, because I think everybody can relate to, you know, having a system that you feel is pushing against you, a system trying to hold you in a certain box, and you resisting that to become more of who you're meant to be.
Yeah. First off, that's powerful. I mean, I've had many different experiences where like, how did I get out of that alive? Like, as an example, I remember driving down to Puyallup every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and like driving in an old Toyota Corolla on the 167. And I'm going to be honest, I fell asleep at the wheel multiple times. I still got home and I'm like, this wasn't one time, but like God was watching over. It's like, yo, you can't quantify that, like guardian angel. And so again, like you just got this seed of purpose, bro, when you're acting on it, right? Instead of just, and I want to speak to that a little bit because you have so much heart for people
Mm.
to empower people, and you're saying encouraging people to become that like success that they want to be.
Mm.
What does your definition of success look like in your life? Because I think everyone has their own definition. It's not just, big mansion or fancy cars, but everyone's got those like things that like, if this is what success looks like to me, how would you paint that picture for you personally?
I think first and foremost, man, it's making my creative proud. I have like this sense of when I feel like God is proud of me. And that's one of my constant prayers is like, no matter what I'm doing or what I got going on, I hope I make you proud.
For sure.
So that's a big part. I think the other thing is just like, I want my sons to grow up knowing that whatever they put their mind to, they can do it because they saw their dad do it. And so I think right now, a big thing for me is like just laying that foundation for them and the legacy that will come after them with grandchildren,
Yeah.
hopefully. And at some point, not for a long time, but at some point, and just, I think that's the biggest thing for me, man, is just like, the people around me are encouraged to go harder for their dreams and their ambitions because they see me doing it. And then when I kind of key in on people doing that, I'm like, all right, yeah, that's a success. Cause like you said, like, yeah, the house is cool and the cars and all of that stuff is cool. But at the end of the day, man, it's really about the impact that you made on people.
Right.
And when I think of people like Nipsey, who I have on the wall, and Ali, who's on the wall, Kobe, that's on the wall, and so many other people that I look up to as heroes in their respective fields, they left this world in a way where people wanted to emulate them and they wanted to kind of follow in their footsteps in their own unique pathway.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that, that will also be part of my legacy that I leave behind is that people are like, man, Sharp was one of the guys who kind of put it in me that I could do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and again, you did that to me, bro. Like since the very first time we met, I got your book, I got your CD, and I was like, for so many years as a kid, I just thought you could only do one thing. Like, oh, I got called to be a preacher. And I'm like, no offense, I love God. I've been with God my whole life, but it's like, preachers are broke. Let's be honest, like, I've seen them. They live in the parsonage, and it's like, God, I love you, but I want to have some of that prosperity, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so being able to say you can be more than one thing, like TD Jakes is one of the great examples for me. He's
Oh my God, man.
yeah, being able to be more than just one thing and being called to do more than just one thing. So let's tie it this way. I believe I wear a key, and the key for me is it symbolizes that we have to activate every opportunity. You're going to have like specific principles or values that you align with.
Yeah.
What are some of those for you?
I would say a big thing is integrity. And it's just like being a person of your word, like when you speak, because I feel like that's something that's really lacking now is that there's not a lot of people that really back up what they say and the kind of the way that they present themselves. That's not really who they are. You feel me? And so maybe that's more related to authenticity, which is another value of mine. But I would just say that integrity piece is like really being who you say you are and how you present yourself, and it's rare for me to find that.
Right.
And that's part of the reason why I'm really a loner in many instances is because I don't find too many people that are really walking the talk. And I'm more so attracted to people that based off of like their actions speak louder. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because we just live in a world in a time where it's just like anybody can be anything and people are okay with that. And I'm like, man, maybe I'm just old school or I'm cut from a different cloth. I don't know, bro. But I came up and like, man, you look a man in his eye, you give him a firm handshake and you say, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you do it.
Right.
And so for me, like just that integrity piece is heavy. Then the other piece of authenticity is just showing up and being true to who you are, like not trying to be something that you're not trying, like we have a saying, or we don't really say it no more, but you ain't got a lot to kick it, and it's like, man, just be you. Like, you don't have to be extra, man. Like, the beauty and the value in who you are as a person is being true to who you are.
Right.
And you might not fit within everybody. That's cool. Find your tribe. Find the people that value who you are and what you bring to the table. And so for me, that's what I strive to do on a day-to-day basis, man. I'm so over code switching. I did that early on when I was younger and trying to like fit in and suit and all of this and trying to, you know, kind of conform. And I'm like, one thing I learned is, man, no matter what you do, whether you code switch or not, man, people are going to always find some type of fault with you or some reason they don't want to deal with you or that you're not enough. And I'm like, but fam, I'm about to just be me. Y'all going to be like that anyway, fam. Let me just be comfortable in my own skin and show up as myself. And however you feel about it is how you feel about it. But I'm going to find the people that are attracted to who I am, the real me, you know? So I think the integrity and the authenticity are big. Respect is big. I think it might be because I grew up in LA and I saw firsthand or I understood firsthand what disrespect could produce and the tragedy that can bring. And so I was very mindful of like, man, you just show respect, man, to everybody because you never know. You don't know who's who, fam. Like, you know what I'm saying? You got to be careful because you just don't know. And it's not like a fearful thing. It's just when you conduct yourself in a respectful manner and you show respect, man, that's what you demand back and then you're giving it, you know? And so that's how I carry myself. Like, I'm going to give you respect until I see that it's not warranted. And then at that point, I'm either going to distance myself or I'm going to check you, you know, depending on what the energy is. And so, but I'd rather stay on the coin of like mutual respect. You know, I respect what you do in your lane and your background and how you get down and, you know, respect mine, you know? So yeah, those are the big ones, man.
Yeah, I think that respect is a huge component because, yeah, you don't know who you're messing with. Let's take a step back for a moment. I feel like when people demand respect, but you're not respecting them, how are you supposed to give it back?
Facts.
Yeah, you start with respecting others and even first off, respecting yourself. Because I feel like that's what it comes to.
Yeah.
You know, you talked about community, and you know, we first met in one of the coolest communities ever, Tacoma Connect, and shout out to them.
Come on.
And so I just want to talk about them for a few minutes and say how the Tacoma Connect community has impacted you, because again, you were already well established, if you will, before Tacoma Connect. How was like either your presence in there or just being around that community help you grow?
And I got to shout out, you know, our mutual friend Asaph, you know, who founded that and runs it. I think Tacoma Connect was just like all of the things that I felt that I needed. It was hitting on all those aspects. It was hitting on the entrepreneurship piece, the creative piece, you know, the networking and building community piece. That's very unique. Like, I don't think I've ever been a part of anything like that hit all of those different things and like actually speaks to them. No, we want you. If you're creative, if you're business minded, if you're, you know, I'm like, that's me. And so, you know, Asaph and the whole crew, man, like just, you know, embrace me. And again, for me, I'm a loner, you know, so, and it's not that I always choose to be a loner. I've just accepted that, you know. But when I find a group of people that like really embrace me and like it feels like they get me to a certain degree,
Right.
man, that's life, bro. You know, especially when you kind of used to like just being solo dolo. So when I find that type of environment and energy, man, that just it brings something out of me that I think is important, and a side of me that's important that I might not always express because, you know, I'm moving solo. You feel me?
Right. It's not that you can't create alone, but when you're around your tribe or your people that get you, it's like it's almost like you're amplified. You have like it's almost like you get like a superpower, super effect because you're around like-minded people with like-minded principles too.
Yeah.
And I know we talked about this when we were in Rama, when you were doing your showcase. We were talking about your new song that came out, Comfy in Tacoma, and you talked about the gap. And so I really want to emphasize that because that inspired me to like start finding gaps between Seattle and Tacoma. Talking with key players, we can actually bridge it, but the problem is there's not a person that's done it. And so finding the like-minded people to bridge that gap. So can we talk on that a little bit in your perspective, and then coming from LA, then coming out to Tacoma and seeing why there's a gap or maybe how we can even solve it? Like, I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on that.
Well, I think the benefit that I have as an outsider, so to speak, is that I'm not held by the tribalism that is Seattle and Tacoma.
Right.
Like those are two distinct tribes, and then you have tribes within tribes, or I should say clans within tribes. But I'm not beholden to that because I'm just coming in and I'm like, I think you're dope. You're in Seattle. I think you're dope. You're in Tacoma. Like, let's kick it. You feel what I mean?
Right.
And so I think that that's just part of it, is just kind of having that mindset, because you can be somewhere and you just don't see what you have because you have these barriers. It's like in LA, and I relate it to like gang culture. there's gangs and there's different territories with people like for generations that like they don't fool with each other. They're enemies, but they don't even know why. It was because that big homie, their OG and their OG before them got into some stuff, and now they don't like each other, and now it's passed on to the to the young guys. And so no matter like kind of how you slice it, man, that's just like where we find ourselves in. So I don't know what happened between Tacoma and Seattle, or what caused the separation of tribalism, or what the fault lines are. But I think one of the things that's unique for the position that I sit in is like I get to be a part of both. So when I'm in Tacoma, I'm bigging up Seattle, and I'm in Seattle, I'm bigging up Tacoma, and I'm like, man, and then I'm trying to introduce people and trying to make those connections. So I think that's really just what it boils down to, man, is like as people better humanize each other and not just relate to each other as what their location is, but like I see you as a person, as a human, again with that respect factor.
Yeah.
I think that's how we begin to break down some of those walls, and then looking for opportunities where, we can get a delegation from Seattle to come to Tacoma, and then we can get a delegation of folks from Tacoma to go to Seattle. Like one of the dope things that, Tacoma Connect recently did, was about a month or so ago, but we went to, Scope Springs. So ASAP is there. My guy 410 Noodles was there. I hope I'm not forgetting nobody else that pulled up. West Coast Reeds was there. So we all was there, in Seattle, like on Broadway, and it was dope. It was dope to get to see kind of what else is going on in the world outside of Tacoma, and then kind of bring that element back. You know what I'm saying? And like, oh yeah, they was doing this, and man, you could, So I think it's just like, yeah, man, get out here, man. The world is so big, and especially if we're not tapping into the immediate resources that we have in our backyard, man, that's a disservice that we do it to ourselves, So yeah.
Yeah. And I'll even attest to that. When you limit yourself to a zip code, you're limiting your possibilities.
Right.
So especially when you're trying to network, shout out to like the growing entrepreneur, experience different things, go to different events. You don't know who you're going to meet, and kind of starting to close it out a little bit. I'd like for you to give some advice for people who are starting on that entrepreneurial venture, whether it's a business or a startup. What would you give maybe few tips and advice? If I were to start all over again, being 18, 19, I wish I would have heard these things, starting as specific like entrepreneurship or starting any endeavor.
Success is not going to feel like what you think it'll feel like. Usually, like when you're at your most successful, you won't feel like you're at your most successful. And the reason I say that is because usually the more that you elevate, the more resistance you're going to find.
Right.
So the resistance that you come against when you're elevating, or, things are starting to work for you, that's actually a sign that you're going in the right direction. The issue is a lot of people, when they feel that resistance, they stop. And then you go to another thing, trying to like escape what you were facing in the last endeavor. But it's a principle. It's a principle of resistance, elevation of resistance. It's like when a plane is going up, you're going to have that turbulence going up. But once you get up to that, to the height, the destination or whatever, the altitude, it's going to be smoother. And then you'll still have your rough patches and turbulence, on the flight. But, for the most part, it's going to be a smooth flight. You'll be able to take this, go to sleep, read a book, whatever, kick it. But I think that's the biggest thing is I think people try to go to the next thing, not realizing that no matter where you go, if you really want to be successful, you're gonna find resistance,
100%.
and you got to stick through it long enough for the success to compound, and for you to develop the character where that resistance no longer knocks you off of your path. So anything that I've done, from writing the books to the board game to the music that I've done, even raising my sons, like it's came with its levels of resistance. Some resistance I'm still in right now, to be 100%, but who I've become in the process, the character that has been developed, the mindset, the mental toughness, the callous around the mind has allowed me to not only endure that and persist through it, but to still thrive despite it.
Dang, dude. You wrapped that up pretty good with that advice. One more thing. When it comes to like rappers, who would you say is like the most inspiring to you? You don't got to say 10, but like what are the few artists growing up there like, man, I wish I could, not just their flow, but what they did, the results of after rapping.
I love that. That's a great question. I think Probably top of the food chain is gonna be E40.
Okay.
Yeah, E40 definitely, because not only a gifted artist and musician, but also, looking at his ventures. And I mean, the guy's been married, I think maybe 20, 30 years to his wife. You just see him, he still fly. He a OG and he still fly. Same thing with Richie Rich,
Yeah.
you see guys like that, man, and they're doing well, they're still thriving, and they find a way to remain relevant and cool no matter what, age level, or kind of where they're at. Like, they continue to maintain just that relevancy. So I think definitely I'll say 40 is at the top of my list. Then Ice Cube, looking at the big three and just what he's done in film and things of that nature. And how I feel like, I've never met him, but he just seems like he's very still solid and principled, and
Right.
he's very authentic. The late great Nipsey Hussle, who a lot of people say that I sound like, but I would say that what Nip represented was an idea of progress in the midst of darkness. That
Right.
you can be that light in the midst of darkness, and you can do amazing things and great things, and be able to just transcend whatever, again, the labels and stereotypes that the world puts on you, and you can become greater than that. So to see his legacy in the way that, like, Black Sam, his brother, and Jay Stone, and the whole All Money, all those guys at All Money Era continuing to push that legacy forward, man. It's like, bro, what more could you want? You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Right. And then the thing is, even with Nipsey, the fact he's able to do what he did, and again, even for example, like 50 Cent, the fact that they actually, oh, he's a rapper, like he reads books too.
Yeah.
They're starting to get to, they're finding ways to elevate their mind and to be professional. I
Yeah.
remember seeing some of those clips where Nipsey's like, yeah, dude, I don't really smoke marijuana anymore because like I want to be at my best to be able to communicate to these people.
Right.
And that's a personal choice.
Right.
You
right.
know, but I think when you talk about professionalism and expanding and doing more than just rap,
Mhm.
I think that's a great one for me. I even was listening to Killer Mike.
Yeah, man, Killer Mike is another one, bro. Like him and Ti, like I can go down a list of. I'm really inspired by Jeezy.
Yeah.
There are so many guys, man. Jay, Nas. I'm really impressed with Nas because Nas wasn't necessarily looking for the limelight, but he still shines and carries it. Like, to me, he is the epitome of like what you should be as an elder statesman in hip hop. And then you
Right.
see, like, he's putting out the other guys. Like, he put out Raekwon's new album. He put out Ghostface new album. Slick Rick. Like, he's still elevating the OGs and the other cats, you know what I'm saying, around it, and making it still dope. They're still rapping and killing the game. So I'm like, bro, like, that's what I aspire to be like, and then also like his investments with, I think it's called Queensbridge Partners or something. He's got a venture capital thing, and he got the casino. I don't know if it's been open yet, but I'm blown away by. So I love how hip hop is maturing, and the guys that are in it, and the seasoned veterans, and the way that they're making their moves and the ventures and growing with that. Like, that's what I really like to see. Because it's one thing to be dope on the mic, man, but can you also segue that into generational wealth and inspiration for the next generation?
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, let's touch back on integrity because the lifestyle you're living, can you keep it? And not just keep it, like, can you create it, but are you able to withstand the pressure of, when you do get that big, you get publicity, you get drama, and then can your character hold you
Yeah.
through those times? And, just wrapping up the last question is, what's next for Sharp Seals? Like, is there another book coming out? Is there another board game? Is there any music? How can we keep in touch with you?
So immediately, yes, there is another book coming out, which is called Gladiator. And it is a series of fictional stories about different people that are facing various trials and tribulations in their life. Some of them are not all of them are negatives. One of the trials is newfound success, where, you're dealing with all of the attention that comes from that. And how do you actually, like you said, maintain, in spite of all of the new attention that's put on you. But it's a series of different, things that folks deal with, from divorce to financial issues, health issues, dealing with fake friends, and, procrastination, It's all laid out in Gladiator. And really, the book is about helping people develop resilience and mental toughness. Cause I feel like that's another thing that's missing is, man, a lot of folks are just soft now, bro. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
We live in a soft society, and that's not going to help us at all. So Gladiator will be here in October. The book is available for pre-sale now. You can go on my Instagram, The Sharp Skills, and you can go to my link tree and you can find where you can download that, or not download it, but you can pre-order your book. That it'll be here in October. Then I had my last 3 albums, Making Up for Lost Time, It Was Always Me, and Bars. Those I've had those turned into vinyl. So those will be here mid-September. Those are also available for pre-order. You can go to my website, rebelfern.com, and find those. And I just have a whole bunch of upcoming events. Like I'm doing another free gameplay session in Seattle at Black and Tan Hall, September 11th. So you can find that information out on my Instagram and all of that. Some more performances and shows and different things of that nature. So I say probably just tap in with me on Instagram and you can kind of see everything I got my hands in.
For sure.
And just drop. I'm waiting hopefully today, which is August 22nd.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the song that I did with Richie Rich recently called Sliding with the Legends. That is supposed to drop on all streaming services. Right now it's on YouTube. I found it on YouTube for them guys at Apple or whatnot. But that's going to be dropping any day now.
Yeah, and first off, I'm so excited for all those things, bro. Again, like I'm always trying to find ways to support, whether it's sharing the posts, supporting the books, the vinyls and stuff. Can I ask you, how was that experience recording with Richie Rich? Because you said legend in the game, and this is one of the people that you said you admire. So how was that experience before we close out?
Man, it was amazing, man. And it's kind of funny. Like Rich is also like a funny guy too, So and I don't know, forgive me, Rich, if I'm going too deep. But it actually worked out perfectly because he was out here for a party, to perform. And so he put out the Batman signal, like I'm gonna be in Seattle, like whoever, trying to tap in. And I had met him back in March at a Russell concert. I paid to go do the meet and greet. So I got to meet him and I got to meet the Russell. And I chopped it up the most with Richie Rich though. Okay. And I just felt like a connection, you know what I'm saying? Like it was almost like I was talking to like a big cousin or something like that. So we chopping up game, stuff like that. And then when like last week, he posted that he was going to be in Seattle and he was open to doing like collaborations and, and other stuff. In my mind, I'm like, bro, shit, let's make that happen. Damn right. So I reached out to him. I DM'd him. I said, hey, bro, this is my budget. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't know at that time where his engagement was going to be. I was just assuming Seattle, which is why you saw him posting me trying to find a studio in Seattle.
Right.
Because I was going to try to do something that was closer to him. But he was like, oh yeah, bro, I'm gonna be in Auburn at the day. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's actually not too far from where I stay at. And a lot of the studios that I had reached out to was just kind of falling through, or it just kind of it wasn't lining up. So I said, yo, I got set up here in my crib, and I know how people be like. I'm one of them people, I don't really be liking to just go to anybody's house.
Right.
And then I'm not just inviting anybody to my house, but I'm like, I got set up, bro. You can come here. We can knock it out. So it ended up happening where I actually went to Auburn to get him and brought him back to the crib. And he recorded it, what I'm saying, which is very gracious. And, he recorded his verse, or not recorded, but he wrote his verse on a plane out here. And, I did good business with him. Like, I shot him his bread and, I took care of everything else. Like I made sure that I had my situation set up right where I had a videographer, I already got kind of like my team that I work with to get the music together and the graphic design. So I didn't want Richie Rich thinking about none of that. Right. I just need you to come to rap, lay it down, and then, I'm out your hair, bro. I mean, I ain't got no hair. But yeah, man. So it was just a dope experience. And he's the real deal, man. Like he's an authentic dude, and you can tell he moves by principle and by code. And so that's what made it even more special with me, because it's like, man, you look at somebody and you see why they have the success that they have attained. And, you know, he's worked with the legends from Tupac to E40 to now Larry June and the Russells and, you know, the Loonies and all of these people that he's a part of that ecosystem. You know, he's a fixture in that ecosystem. And now I have a small part of that with this song.
And
So that makes it real special for me.
yeah, and again, like I said, thank you so much again for this opportunity, bro. This whole podcast right now is focusing on interviewing different people that are creatives, entrepreneurs who are talking about their craft and, you know, talking about change and not just talking about, but being about it.
Yeah.
What are you actually doing to create those change, those results, those mentors? So again, like the whole point of the podcast is to encourage and inspire the people, and I feel inspired. Like I already know, again, your whole experience, like getting to talk with you, getting to know you, like it's making me want to make music again. You know, freestyle rap is a thing for me, but actually writing the music,
Yeah.
you know, and so I might need some lessons.
You already know, man. I'm gonna share the game, bro.
So I appreciate you, man. And again, I appreciate you so much.